Hey y'all, today we're gonna make some super delicious and very, very easy French onion soup. So to start out with, we're gonna need to chop up a whole lot of onions. Now what I used for this was just a regular old 3-pound bag of onions. So however you buy your onions, get as close to 3 pounds as you can get for the amount of soup that I'm making. All right, let's chop these onions up.
As a young girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care in the world. I was one rich little girl, daydreamer, kidnap me, take me back. All the way back to them days, running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
Okay, so you see that I just peeled these, chopped them in half, and then just cut them into slices. And let me tell y'all, this amount of onions, you see I just completely missed the bowl. I was crying hard at this point. Y'all, that's a lot of onion to cut up. So put your onion goggles on or whatever you need to do because you're going to be chopping lots of onions. Okay, so to my Dutch oven, I added 3 tablespoons of butter. And we're going to go ahead and let that melt. Once it gets melted, go ahead and add in about a tablespoon of oil. I just use some olive oil, but use whatever you have. You know, use whatever you have. And then I added about a half of a teaspoon of sugar. Now, a lot of people are like, like I said, I was crying when I was cutting these onions up because they were very, very strong. But we're going to cook these onions so long that you're going to cook that right out of them. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get the flavor without that heavy, overpowering bite of onion, if that makes sense. And then the sugar, of course, just helps it along the way to get a little bit sweeter. Now, it's not going to be super, super sweet, so don't freak out about that. So you're going to cook these onions kind of on a medium heat. I cooked these for about 45 minutes to an hour. Normally what I would do is cook them until they're that nice brown color, but y'all, I was hungry. And they were pretty well done. And there was a lot of onions in this small pot, so I didn't want to, cook them to mush, but you can definitely cook them until they're brown. Okay, once you get your onions nice and soft, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour and then some salt and pepper, and you're just going to add the salt and pepper to taste. So however much, you like. You don't add too much because you're going to put some other salty things in here, the broth and everything, and you don't want to over salt it. You can always taste it. So you're going to let that cook around for about a minute or two just to get that raw flour cooked out. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and add in about 6 cups of beef broth. And I had one container that was about half full, so I used that, and then I used this full container because these containers like this, if y'all, if you didn't know, they're 4 cups. So if you get these big containers, you just need 1.5 of those for this amount of soup, okay? Now, for me, for the people I was feeding, this made about 6 servings, so just do the math on that. If you have a much bigger family, you're going to want to make more of this, maybe double it even, but please use a bigger pot. Just use a bigger pot because that's a lot of onion. Okay, once you get your beef broth mixed in, go ahead and drop in 1 bay leaf, and then I added a couple of tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, maybe a tablespoon or 2. Now, normally when you cook French onion soup, you add some wine or some sort of like red wine vinegar or something. But that's one of the reasons I chose this recipe, because I don't normally have that at my house. And I wanted to be able to make it to where everybody could eat it and the ingredients were very simple. So once you get your bay leaf added in, you're going to bring it to a boil. Once it starts boiling, cut it down and just let it simmer for about an hour. All right, so I went the fancy route and got me some Gruyere cheese. But you can definitely use mozzarella for this. If you've never had this kind of cheese, it's sort of like a cross, to me. The taste of it is sort of between a mozzarella and a parmesan. So if you don't have this cheese, just use a little parm, and a little mozzarella. It'll be perfect. And I just shredded that up. So go ahead now and this is one of those little, kind of a skinny baguette. And I just went ahead and I cut it into slices, probably about a half an inch thick or so. And this is what's going to go on top of your soup, okay? So go ahead and put your oven on broil high. And then you're going to cut your little bread up. And then I just didn't want to, clean this pan later. So I lined it with some foil, y'all. And I put my little bread down on there. And then I just took a little bit of olive oil and I just rubbed a little bit of olive oil on the top just so we can get them nice and toasty brown in the oven. Okay, now if you don't have oil or you don't want to use oil, you could use a little bit of butter, however you want to do it. It will work just fine. But you're going to pop those under the broiler. A lot of people say put it under the broiler for 2 or 3 minutes. Honey, if I put something under my broiler for 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to have a fire in the kitchen. My broiler cooks very hot, so it took mine probably 30-45 seconds to get to that point. So when you put them, anytime you're broiling something in your oven and you're not sure how your broiler works, err on the side of caution and watch it the whole time it's cooking. Okay, once our time has, passed, our hour or whatever, go ahead, make sure you remove the bay leaf from your soup because nobody wants to chomp into a bay leaf. So just take that out of your soup, and then I'm just reusing that same pan I cooked the bread on, and I'm using these little, I don't think they're called ramekins. Maybe they are, because I'm not sure if that with the handle is, I don't know, whatever it is, a little soup bowl, y'all. My sister gave me those, and they're so pretty, and I hadn't had a chance to use them yet, so I was so excited I was making this recipe so I could use these finally. So what you're going to do is whatever bowl you're using, and make sure that your bowl, whatever you use, is oven safe up to like 500 degrees because we're broiling this. So you want to make sure whatever you're using for your soup can withstand high heat in your oven, okay? So I can't tell you what what kind of material that is that you need, but just make sure that your bowls are rated for some high temp, okay? Then you're going to put a little piece of bread right on top of your soup. And then I was trying to just fill it in because, like I said, this was a small piece of bread. So I just kind of broke one of the little pieces in half just to make it cover, the whole little surface area of my soup. And once you get your bread added, you're going to go ahead and take some of that cheese and we're going to just sprinkle that right over the top. Does not have to be neat. Now, I did pick up the ones that fell because I didn't want them to burn, but just put you a big old pile on there. And then we're going to pop this under the broiler until our cheese is nice and melted. See that, y'all? And look, don't use cheap pans like I did. I had to double them up and then they still did that little warp thing. You know how they do when they get too hot? Look, I'm going to start a GoFundMe for some pans, y'all. I'm just kidding. But anyway, y'all, this is our French onion soup. This is my favorite soup in the world, but I never eat it because all the ingredients are always so strange and it's not stuff that I normally have. So I found this recipe and I did it for y'all. So make this soup because it turned out fantastic. All right, that's all I've got for y'all today. I'll pop y'all another video over here and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.